All right. Had a little time tonight. Thought I'd get a little more streaming in. See if I can get a little bit further in Disco Elysium. Yeah, that's about it. I know last time we got the body down, ran around town a bit, picked up a few more quests, and not entirely sure what I'm going to do today. I think we might give the field autopsy a try, and beyond that, we'll probably just go from there. So, yeah. Got a form, got a pen to fill it out with. Stash this for now.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
No.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them.
What you do know is, at 18.9 kilometers, the dormant shield volcano, Corpus Muindi, is the world's highest summit, and the failure of the 38 single, Epui Descent, to crack the top 20 was the death knell of disco. But what a field autopsy is, you have no idea.
Don't you know?
You must have me confused with the Copperpedia. You, sir, you are the Copperpedia.
Alright, well, I'll just follow Kim's lead, I guess.
There truly is a time for everything, even for yellow gardening gloves. However, they are lacking hygienically. I suggest you get in there in limited capacity.
Oh, sure.
I'll ask you when I need you to. For the most part, maybe I should handle the contact and you take notes?
I do have a red field autopsy form.
That's right.
Nice.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
Assistant?
That's you.
Just leave it empty for now.
the corpse lies there, indifferent to your retrograde amnesia. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815.
KK equals Kim Kitsuragi. 57 equals Precinct 57, followed by his date, 0803, and time of arrival, 0815, on the scene. He's indexed the case after himself, not you. That's because he doesn't want to bring up the messy question of your initials.
Yeah, that's fine.
Next. NA. Next. NA. Roughly 50.
Dry 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side.
It's fine.
The corpse looks ageless, like meat on a hook.
Mondial.
Fair to olive-skinned, from the Isola of Muindi. This is as vague as it gets. You might as well say whitish. The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th, 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None, at least not after the initial examination. Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem. They'd have to have incapacitated and carried him over. This man was more than a match for untrained dogwalkers.
This is the sound of the dead man's chest.
Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosenkrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbach puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed.
Okay.
Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else.
Some weird flashbacks of other places.
And so, all across Jamrock, whole city, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today, 42 stations of breath.
I see.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodin, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodin, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable.
Uh,
The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The rest of the clothes have been removed post-mortem by scavengers in order to get to the victim's ceramic armor. Officers are in search of the missing pieces. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
It would be clever of you to omit the boots altogether, sire. If you are to keep them for yourself, as you ought to, you have deserved them more than anyone else.
I didn't actually want to do that one.
The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a belt for airlifting cargo around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age, about 50. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing.
That's reminding me I don't have enough money to stay tonight. Still know what I'm going to do about that.
Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
The hair under your latex fingers feels cold to touch, wet. The stench is suffocating. Strands of dark brown hair start sticking to the latex of the glove, like thread off a rag doll's head. There must be brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil.
Sure, why not?
Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs. Consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest. Consistent with predation.
That's weird.
Ligature mark.
Holding knife with the other hand pulling on the belt, starts cutting into the polyester. The stench is horrid. After a while, it's obvious the material cannot be cut.
The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna acknowledge them. I'm just gonna... That's low.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the yeast. The knot is the weak spot. The chain cutters fit in there, steady now, like a flower arranger. 2 cuts and it should come loose.
Can't level up. Dang it. Alright.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together.
Just barely.
You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap. The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
He's getting closer, running his finger along the dark gray groove until there's a gap.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! It's gonna happen, see?
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
This might be a bad idea, but
The dead man's penis is average sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch.
alright. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and
Not for
lower
this crazy
extremities are
situation.
intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip. In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
We have a real museum here. Of battles, wars. Last item, hands.
The hand feels heavy, filled with decay liquids, like it's ready to explode if squeezed hard enough. You're suddenly repulsed, so much so you feel compelled to drop it.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling. I was. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, this stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment.
Fair enough.
Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next?
Ooh. This should be interesting.
Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
What?
What would that be?
The dead man looks, too, with barely contained excitement to hear the moral of his story.
I think that may well be the moral of every story, officer.
All right, he appreciated it at least.
Good. Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house at night.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system.
Begins to probe in the dead man's jaw as he stops to exert force. Both hands are used. Wow.
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
No scream. No sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his.
Maybe that's a bad idea.
Hepatobiliary. NA. Are you a hepatobiliary expert?
Hepato means liver, and biliary, the gallbladder and bile ducts. Nothing in your alcohol-soaked memory directs to having forensic expertise on either one.
Neither am I.
Oh,
Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Unless you have untapped reservoirs of knowledge there?
Reservoirs? No, but do they take obscure trivia and odd tidbits?
Like a toxicology screening? At this stage, I doubt processing will find anything, even if he was brimming with cocaine. But still, you should add a request.
yeah, couldn't hurt.
Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Bite marks, contusions, ligature mark.
Nothing, just in case. Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted.
I was like, what is biting him? But that, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a postmortem head injury. A stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
Yep.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush.
Is this not what killed him? I wonder.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal?
Yeah, just his hands weren't tied. He was just carried here. He could have been killed elsewhere and just. It is weird.
Honestly, I'm not sure there weren't marks on his wrist. That part got blurry for me. The stench. But you're right, I was ready to call this. Now I think we should leave it empty, at least for the time being.
Something is weird about this.
Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But, personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. We also requested a toxicological screening. That was thorough. The results should arrive in a couple of weeks, if we are lucky. I would not hold my breath. We were thorough with the list of injuries, too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy. I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse. I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something.
Try that one first. Then maybe that one.
The fish lips stay silent in response. You must be losing your mind, asking him that over and...
I told you, he is male, 40 to 50, with an athletic build.
You know what?
You run your hands over the victim's cold body, his limbs, his torso with its swollen organs. Maybe you should be more thorough. The genitals in his breeches continue to be unnoteworthy.
Oh, I
You
thought
see
like
the penis of a dead man.
his pants.
If you've seen it once, you've already...
Can't get enough of that dick.
Do you think we missed something? Okay, well, we are in livor mortis here. He is disintegrating. We need to refrigerate the body if we want to conduct another examination, and we need to do it fast. It would have to be industrial in size. Let's start by asking Gart at the Whirling in Rags and the Fritz store down at the gates. If they don't know, but only if all else fails.
Fuck are you looking at, Beano man? You want a piece of the Kuno? Wanna get fucked?
Only if all else fails.
Kuno looks like he gets around. Knows Martinez. And its fridges too, probably.
This is one task we cannot sideline. With every hour, whatever we are looking for will become harder to find.
All right. Let's do this.
Can I help you? Yes, yes. For the dead body. You want to put a dead corpse into my fridge, right?
Correct him.
How did you know?
Because you haven't taken it away yet, and it must be stinking hard about now. Well, you're not putting it here. Rest assured. This is a culinary establishment, not a morgue. You don't have to ask me why you can't store a dead body in my kitchen.
It would only be for...
Lieutenant, you too? You're asking too? No. The answer is no. I will not turn this place into some kind of macabre circus.
Let's go talk to the Frit clerk.
Yeah.
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything. Right behind you. You're joking, right? Okay. It wouldn't even fit, you know.
Now that I'm looking at it, maybe a glass-doored fridge in a public grocery store isn't the best option for storing a corpse.
Okay.
I just find it hilarious that Kim's going along with this.
A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
She scrunches up her face, into an expression of consummate adolescent skepticism.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay?
Fuck does Kuno care? For the fuck imp. Good thing you asked the Kunmeister. Kuno knows a fridge. Perfect for freezing Bacon Man's in a rush. But what's in it for the Kuno? What's the return on Kuno's investment?
By killing in his territory, someone has openly challenged Kuno. It's in his best interest to put them in their place.
Oh, I kind of like this.
A dark flame smolders in Kuno's eyes as he ponders your argument, wordless, like kings do.
Alright, Kuno hears ya. See that shit house over there?
Class building at the bookstore.
A cold comes over you as you glance behind him at the crumbling colossus there, casting a shadow on you.
You gotta get in that shit. In there, deep. Check the fucking basement, pig. Don't you know anything? Always check the fucking basement, recon style.
Collapsed building with the bookstore.
There's a giant fridge down there. Fucking will fit, no problem. It looks like a white bear or some shit. Try not to piss yourself when you see it.
Oh. A white bear, you say? Well then.
A white bear? A polar bear?
Through the bookstore, you gotta beg the book bitch. Used to be you could get in there through the doorbell, jam that shit. Book bitch changed that. Kuno doesn't beg, so Kuno doesn't go there anymore. Yeah, book bitch, beggar. You stupid or something?
He means the bookstore. We have to ask. Plaisance is the mother of the little girl peddling books on the plaza. We have to ask Plaisance in the store.
Well, now I have a reason to go in the bookstore.
Impressive note-keeping, Lieutenant.
See, the clod gets it. Listen to your four-eyed friend. You didn't hear it from Kuno, pig. But don't forget where you heard it from.
Kuno owns you now, pig. You're Kuno's property.
Empathy 1. Very low. 3%. Oh boy.
Kuno doesn't fucking...
Welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People. My name is Plaisance. Be welcome, and please take responsibility for the energy you bring into this space. I am the proudest owner of our little shop of culture.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut right to it.
A fridge? No, I don't know anything about a fridge. Aren't you interested in books?
For whatever reason, she's lying to you about the fridge. Seems like you have to find your own way to the cellar.
Cursed? Who said that? Annette? I will have a word with her. This place is not cursed. It has a robustly magnetic energy. Good for commercial activity. My business is thriving, sir.
What in God's name is she talking about?
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, was she at her post doing her job like a proper girl? Wonderful. Did you talk to her? Great. On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled were you to buy books after talking with her?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna snitch on her, but also I don't like how this is going.
Come now, it's not personal. It's about proper sales practices and market research. I expect an answer.
I'm going to be nice to her, at least.
My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette. Mind your own business, sir. In our society, people don't get to tell each other how to raise their children. It's none of your or anyone's business.
Denial is the way she copes with criticism.
Yeah, whatever.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders rigid and tense.
Then why are you talking to me? Everything is on the shelves to browse. Don't you feel compelled to buy anything? See those shelves there? Go. Be drawn.
She smiles and nods, seeming.
Yeah, let's go back this way.
You see a set of tattered curtains blocking the way to another room. A strange cage-like trinket dangles from the curtains.
Excuse me, officer. The back room is strictly for employees only. Nothing. Why aren't you browsing the books? Don't you feel compelled to look at the books? You ought to.
She speaks almost as if she's trying to put a spell on you, urging you to buy more books. Oddly enough, the more she tries to draw you away from the curtains, the more alluring they become. You see some kind of charm, an irregular polyhedron assembled from bones, sticks, and straw. Inside, a disturbing fish head with empty eye sockets stares at you.
Now I have to
This
know what
is a
this is
traditional
about.
Seminese ward, meant to provide protection against ill luck, bad dreams, curses, and other supernatural scourges. Inhabitants of Ile de Fantôme, the Seminine Islands down south. Aside from poking at it suspiciously, there is nothing else to do with the fish head charm at this time. The curtains remain shut before you. Just as you're about to pull apart the curtains, the petrified voice of the shop owner cries out once more.
Sir, don't touch that. I told you it's off limits for the customers.
Uh-huh.
Parapsychologically speaking, we're done if you decide to open them. I won't be held responsible for the consequences. It's too dangerous.
Well, now I have to.
She looks away, mumbling. Why is everyone always messing with the curtains? Why can't they just buy books like normal people?
No, it's just a storeroom for the employees, I told you. Now please step away from the curtains. Why? It's not like anyone was killed there. I am sorry, I don't mean to be so impolite. Just please don't go there. I can't allow that. You'll only make things worse and unleash the powers.
The curtains do seem frail suddenly, not robust enough to contain a slippery darkness.
Everybody suddenly needs something from there. Leave the curtains be. It's what it wants.
All right. I think we have to be bold here.
No! Please just talk to me, officer. Come here and let's talk this through before you decide to do anything extreme.
Talking is always good. Go see what she has to say. The curtains, tattered with age and covered in dust, hang before you, as if taunting you.
I'm going to give you one chance.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime Red. I already
Whatever.
told you, it's just a storage room. Just let it go, officer. Go buy some goddamn books. You're supposed to be drawn to the book.
She recites it like it's a poem, or like she's playing a role she's grown tired of. She's so tense, it's a miracle she hasn't snapped in half yet.
Okay, fine. It's because this place is cursed. Just like Annette said, they don't call it the doomed commercial area for nothing. Are you happy now, officer? Happy that you've ruined everything?
Host of hosts, she prays. Guard me and my honest business venture from the curse that lurks behind the curtains.
It's not good to talk about the curse, not in detail. The negativism, it's dangerous. Talking about the void wraiths angers them.
Wow. Void raves. You have new words.
Yes, I've contacted numerous parapsychologists, and even a pair of Simonese mediators. They provided me with the wards.
This lady is
Wards
something
help to
else.
keep the doom at bay and protect us against the darkness that lies further in the building, even though now I fear it's not enough. Oh, this? No, it's a special Himian amulet, blessed by desert pygmy shamans, with a spell of compulsion. It's to compel people to buy books. There are numerous spells cast throughout the store. I had the books anointed with a different inducement spell, for example. It's guaranteed to boost sales 15%.
I'm starting to wish I'd just ripped the curtains open.
Desert pygmy shamans. That sounds like a rather questionable way to describe a group of people.
The curse is so much worse than you could imagine. It's a disease, eating at the very foundation. It's the curse of financial distress, of ruin and bankruptcy.
Yeah, I'm not going to rat out Annette.
But officer, there's nothing natural about entire companies declaring bankruptcy. I'm talking about cacodemons, feeding off bad business practices and disappointing income statements. There's something wrong with this building, I can tell you. Ever since I arrived, I've sensed an eerie lingering presence, as if I was unwanted here.
Yeah, you know what? Fine, if this gets me in.
No, certainly not. I don't want anyone who's not familiar with the psychic arts to get involved in this mess. Stay away. Leave the spirits be, so they can return to their slumber.
My liege, you know what this case calls for? A para-detective.
You know what? Give it a shot.
Slither up to her, you silver-tongued fiend. Show her what world-class perfidy looks like.
Are you sure? Don't think I haven't seen charlatans before.
Technically, this is not wrong.
You're no para-detective. You look nothing like one. And you're clearly a drinker. Pardon me for being so blunt, but...
You look like one. The lieutenant keeps his usual stony calm. He silently picks out his notebook.
How do you know all this?
Here we go.
You know what? Sure.
I should have realized. A pattern lies within the fabric. The hand of fate guides us. Our meeting couldn't have been mere chance.
This is dumb, but if it works, I'll take it.
I am not the only one at risk. I have to think of my daughter. If you promise, good officer, then you might be our last hope. Do you swear it? Thank you, sir. There's one more thing I haven't told you about yet. The entity.
No.
Do not act surprised. You know of these things, sire.
You have? The entity takes the form of a woman, a witch probably. I've suspected that she must be connected to the curse ever since I first saw her. Did you know that she lives
Just gonna
inside the
play
chimney?
along.
Yes, that chimney is part of the building's central furnace, and it's enormous. She has barricaded herself behind some metal security curtains. God knows what she's doing there. Some unnatural magic, I assume. You should go find the entity and ask what happened to all the companies in the building. What is the source of this curse? Here's the key to the warded door behind the curtains. Take it. Oh, and please do return to me after you've looked round. I'm quite anxious to know what she has to say about the curse. What you discover in there.
What you discover? Probably just office space. And the damn fridge.
All right.
You see a set of tattered curtains. You see a dimly lit room full of dusty furniture and trash. A doorway stands in the back, covered in dozens of scary little Seminese wards, your shadow looming over it like an omen.
Oh!
Yeah.
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds, of Seminese trinkets and charms.
Oh. Meh.
A heavy door with a missing handle stands before you, covered in dozens, if not hundreds. After exerting some force, you manage to turn the key. It's eerily silent. The door slides slightly open, letting a draft of cold air into the...
I'll take the lead on this.
A barbell lies on the floor. The color has worn off its weight plates. It's
Probably
60 kilograms. Your triceps hum at the sight of these weights. Show the world what kind of beast it's dealing with. Lift them. There are no collars on the barbell. This is a safety hazard.
Yeah, I don't have time for this. I got a body to store, a fridge to find. How do I get to the basement?
It's dark. And the flashlight works a lot better if you hold it in your hand.
Yeah, alright. Thanks for pointing that out. Go through this stuff later. Now I want to get the, I want to find that fridge. Door? Oh, I see. I don't want to go upstairs. I want to look in the basement. Aha!
You see a terrifying ice bear with a strange compartment in its belly. The door is covered in frost, and the bear's eyes are glowing red. The bear looks oddly realistic. Is it taxidermy?
Yeah, I don't know what this is doing down
This
here,
must
but
be the fridge you were told about. Look inside. See if it's big enough for the corpse. A gust of freezing cold air rushes to greet you. You hear a low grumble as the bear regulates itself. This is the inside of a refrigerator. The lieutenant takes a peek inside. His hand has found the holster of his gun.
Of course, a giant ice bear-shaped fridge. Just what we were looking for. Let's see what's inside.
The shelves are empty. All you see are crumpled ice cream wrappers with the brand name, Revachol Ice City. A handwritten note has been attached to the door. The fridge is huge. You pocket the note and the little fridge magnets keeping it on the door.
It's certainly an eccentric choice, but it is capacious and cold enough, too.
Your visual confirms you could fit 2 more bodies in the ice bear fridge.
Shall we go and get the body, then? I'll take the head, you take the feet. The stairs won't be easy, but we'll manage.
The body is heavier than you expected and stinkier. It takes half an hour to get it down to the basement, then 10 minutes to stuff it into the fridge. The lieutenant takes a step back to admire your handiwork.
Beautiful. A dead body in an ice bear fridge. This is some of the best body work I've ever done.
I can't tell if he's serious or not.
You have created an ice bear sarcophagus.
No, not really. Look at that. What have we done? We stuffed a dead body in
Okay.
an ice bear fridge. This story does not leave this room.
Best with the means at our disposal.
Did we, though? Okay, maybe we did.
Yeah.
At least we've stopped the body from decomposing further. Now you can conduct another inspection under controlled circumstances.
Inside the icy realm of the ice bear fridge, the corpse stands slumped, waiting.
Yeah, let's take another shot at it.
Your arm reaches out and your eyes close as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right under the palm of your hand. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around.
Maybe we should have looked deeper in his mouth.
The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut,
Ooh.
almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. An abrasion collar. This is what we're after.
Abrasion collar.
All right.
A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage. wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brainstem. The basal ganglia feels clumpy. What entered here has torn apart his reptilian complex. This man will never sleep again, never wake.
I can't even say anything. This is This just got
Your
fascinating.
yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. This is what he used to regulate his emotions with. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly, cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist as you push deeper until you feel it on the tip of your finger. Ice-cold serrated metal. Its edges cut right through the latex and into your finger.
Can you get to it?
There's a tiny crack, a protrusion in the cranium, right in the back of his head. Your finger must be pointing straight at it, from the inside. The object that is in there stops just short of the skull, in the encephalus, knocking this tiny fracture into the cranium.
We have the makings of a very small exit wound here.
Double 6s. Didn't need them.
You pick the object between your index and middle finger. It feels sharp, like metal. With your face twisting from pain and concentration, all you need to do is just... The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove, sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth. The garden glove is covered in blood right up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower, a blossom made of lead.
A bullet.
Wow.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-calibre. Rifled. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact.
I mean, I don't think it matters which of us has it, but I would like to look at it.
Of course. You deserve it. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion collar. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity. Temporary cavity in brain tissue. Small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury.
I'm still not sure. No.
And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion non-fatal. Postmortem. Treatment.
He's proposing the bullet was the real cause of death, and the hanging an attempt to conceal this fact.
Yes, and the belt around his neck. The hanging. Even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was already dead. I have had my doubts since you showed me the tracks. Why did they carry him over? Why not march him, I thought. There was no satisfying explanation.
Because he was already dead.
There have been other signs too. Small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them.
There is, of course, the very real possibility he was both shot and hanged.
Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
That's for us to find out. But this, it will make finding them just a little easier. To hide something. The real killer, the real motivation, what really happened here. We put him in a bag and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. The body bag should contain the odor for the duration of the transport. I would drive him to processing, but it's too late to do that today. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. No problem. One more thing. This was really good work,
Yes.
detective.
You know, now that we have a moment,
Good question. It looks like an ice cream fridge.
this hyper carnivore.
I know. What an unfortunate marketing choice. What is even worse, the bear is still costing them money to this day.
Yeah, I mean, although it's a good thing it was here because
The electricity bill must be catastrophic.
yeah,
On the other hand, it
help
did
us.
help us with a certain corpse situation.
Indeed. Refrigerated meat is much better for coroner's work. A friendly cartoon bear smiles back at you from a glossy cellophane wrapper. It looks nothing like the fridge, or the decomposing body in it. The paper still smells of vanilla and chocolate. Even under this stench, you can feel it.
All right, I think we're done.
All right.
There go those beautiful enamel boots.
Meh.
May they rest in processing. Oh well, in another lifetime.
I will need a little help carrying him. You take the hands, I'll take the legs.
Oh, hey. I know what to do with this. Bullet. Oh yeah, we never did look at this.
The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Suliswaf.
It belongs inside a radio computer, storing its memory. It's like a tape. You listen to disco tapes, right? It's like one of your disco tapes, only for a computer. I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the Ice Bear fridge.
Something to think about later, but also...
The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Kim has filled out the label on the bag with the item number, case number, and date and location the bullet was found.
What? Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say, find the weapon that shot me. If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it, possibly to kill our victim. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
The jacket of the bullet is made of a yellowish metal. It has blossomed out to reveal a dark grey core. The base of the bullet is close to 5 millimeters in diameter. You can just about make out a few striations near the base of the bullet. Little hairlines, linear. It feels standard. It's quite destroyed. Some of the fragments are still lodged in the wound.
What can you say about the bullet so far? A jacketed bullet. Okay. It would have been shot from a military-grade breech-loading rifle, not from a muzzleloader like those typically found on the streets of Martinez.
Highly unusual. The people of Revachol haven't carried breech-loading weapons like this for nearly
Good work,
half a century.
Encyclopedia.
Even the RCM uses ordinary unjacketed conical bullets. This is strange. Very strange. I like this, officer. Strange means unique. Unique means incriminating. We need to find the gun that shot it.
The squashed bullet has some sharp edges where the jacket has split open. It feels cold, even through the bag. You wouldn't ordinarily have cause to handle jacketed bullets. The citizens' militia uses cast bullets only. Little pebbles of metal loaded from the muzzle, usually in a cartridge.
I can always retry it if I fail.
You can't remember what happened last week. What makes you think you're going to remember arcane firearm models?
Fair enough. Commercial area, which I'll need to do eventually. First. I wonder if those guys are still there. Okay, I can't equip it.
We are still waiting for a replacement for the bull you sent sinking. What is this? Are you mocking us? This isn't for pétanque.
Now, no need to get angry again, René. I'm sure the officer tried his best. It's not like there's a bull kiosk here in Martinez.
The best, huh? This isn't even a bull. But fine. I guess you did attempt to right your hooliganism. Consider it forgiven.
I tried.
Ah, yes. King Philip III on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule.
Oh, old Philip was a big fan of the purple nose candy the nobility loved so much. A cocaine connoisseur of sorts. His egocentricity is borderline legendary.
You can't even take responsibility for yourself. How could you fathom the responsibility weighing on the shoulders of a ruler? That's why the Philippian kings use cocaine, for clarity of vision, to aid in their work. Regnum cocainum, Revachol's finest years.
Aha.
Of course. Clarity of vision. Awareness.
Philip III was even brought into this world with the help of cocaine. The court medic administered a dose to his mother when she was in labor, and it is well known that with the help of cocaine, only the purest, of course, he was able to connect with higher realms.
Sure.
He's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
You know what? I think I've antagonized him enough.
I'm listening. Right.
I'll leave them to their game. Let's see. That's not happening today. Try back on that one tomorrow. Inspection, the dead body is done, so talking to him about that eventually. Maybe during the end of day debrief in a couple of hours. Still don't have the money, and I know how I'm gonna get it. So we'll have that. This guy's ever showed up. That apparently they're not here today. Wait a minute. Eh. Let's talk. Maybe I get done today. Yeah, they didn't. Okay, they're not there today. So maybe tomorrow. This is maybe tomorrow. This is the end of the day. Find the money. Find the badge. Well, I can at least do this one today. Do that and then maybe wrap up for the night. Kid, you're still out here?
Hello, sir. How is the investigation going? Found any curses yet? Oh, that's great! I hope exciting adventures lie ahead. And maybe you can help Mother become less afraid. Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or artists and writers, or musicians, those kinds of people. There's usually something extraordinary about them. I think that's why people read them, to find the secrets of their fame.
Seems like most people who read those books fail to get more famous from reading them.
But it does make the famous people more famous.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
See if I can find that ice cream. This thing?
thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above. A voice or several voices talking to each other. The echo is so prominent, it's impossible to discern what the voices are saying or what's producing them.
What are you doing? Wait, really? We should investigate, see if someone's upstairs.
Something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices
Somehow
above
succeeded
suddenly
at that.
cease. Then,
Hello? Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the second floor. I'll open it.
you hear a low rumble upstairs. The sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
Well, that wasn't what I was looking for, but... Hey, wait a minute. Ice cream maker.
The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Someone who owns a radio computer?
Which is to say, not very good.
Really? You don't have a single guess? Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on a filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter. I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the iceberg fridge.
Frozen ice cream maker. What's this thing? Except I can't interact with it. Oh wait, there's more than one.
A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too...
There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole.
Your hand reaches deep into darkness and spiderwebs. Rummaging around, you find rusty rifles hidden. Most of them are rusty and inoperable, like the rest, but one catches your eye. A bolt-action model with a fine wood stock, in better cosmetic order than the others.
That's a rare sight. Seems to no longer be functional, but still a beautiful thing in its own way. It's the same type of weapon, yes, a breech loader. An interesting coincidence that we should find something so similar. But I'm afraid our search for the real murder weapon must continue. It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in Martinez. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful in the future. Seems like an old bunker from the revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache.
Okay, nothing else in here. Maybe this ice cream thing. Oh, I see.
Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge, and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby. Something close to you dies with a soft electric purr.
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has one cable missing. Somewhere, a machine hums along with the current, happy and contented.
Oh.
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top and an electric freezer that appears to be frozen shut. You slip your fingers under the frozen lid, but the ice is too cold for you to get a good grip. No, this is going to need something else, some kind of super pry bar. Don't even try to open it with a regular pry bar. You're just wasting your time. If you want to try again, then you need to have the pry bar in your hand, detective.
Equip the pry bar by going to the Tools tab in your inventory. From there, you can equip it to a held slot.
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance, you hear water dripping.
I wonder.
2 cables are plugged into something close to you.
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows. This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting.
Maybe if I give it more time, come back in the morning, I'll be able to open it. Oh. I might actually have a fair bit if I'd stopped and picked at everything.
This appears to be some kind of machine with a cube-shaped heart and a wired framework. The keyboard has a rectangular on-off button. A piece of paper still hangs from the printer.
A radio computer. Just sitting here without anyone inside.
What he means is that these things cost money. Why would anyone just leave it behind? This is the Ream Civic radio computer, model RC5120, equipped with a Feld mainframe and a Ream-compatible printer.
We have one of these down at the station, but I never really learned how to use it.
Come back to this. Actually, a lot of money down here. Production schedule filament memory. Interesting. does anything this way, but hello.
I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Milius. So what kind of die are you looking for?
She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelia is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind?
Not what I was
I'm
expecting to
a dice
find.
maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes? Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there's any particular stone you want to use.
Maybe
It
later.
almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shells like stalagmites.
A little outside my
No
price range.
falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
I can talk
How
for a
did
bit.
I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items.
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids. And
Yeah,
lately,
fair enough.
I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
I just realized I can move this around.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. It's an odd profession, making dice for people. But I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness.
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
Yeah,
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside.
that's fair.
Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know.
Bricks that pick up the walls, even though they've been painted, there are still signs of coal black soot here and there.
But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken. so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Creative.
When she arrived here, there was no room anywhere else. She must have known the other businesses.
I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energy spared her somehow?
I mean, technically, yes.
Alright, but it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in rags? Some people say it's part of the building complex. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time and under the East Delta Commerce Central project. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it?
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
I was just about to ask, what do you think? Do you think the curse is real? Exactly. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can help you with today?
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral.
That's understandable. Fantasies are serious things. The mind is the drawing board of history.
They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic, and to show up to work on time.
Not sure I want to say this.
Still, not everyone is going to make it. That's the nature of the game.
The result is 1 on a 20-sided die.
Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revo Show ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed. What were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Fritte does the same thing.
I was wondering about that.
Employing silky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At least that's what happened with Ravenshaw ICT. And they already had the bear. The bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator.
I mean, I kind
To
of
make
want ice
matters
cream
worse,
guarded by a
the fridge
hostile
didn't
apex
work
predator.
too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted.
But that's also a problem.
Eventually, Ravenshaw ICT lost the price war to its rival, Glace 5000. Glace 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. Maybe, because the taxidermist who made that bear definitely wasn't doing his best, I mean. He said that the bear was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. Called it Megatherion.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly.
I don't have a comment on this.
Understandable. You shouldn't do them. You're a police officer after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire. Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long time. Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion.
Well, that explains
the
that.
doorbell with the empty name card must belong to her then.
That's right. I haven't even written my name there. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. Sure, I'm listening.
Well.
Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milias. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milia?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a sub-rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that.
Yeah.
As if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
It seems like she's seen a lot.
The ACP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar.
Let's just ask about the rest of them at this point.
Around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad. It's not about the haircut, it's about the confidence.
Me neither. I just want it off my face. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemitep's Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. Yeah, the atelier didn't know it either. They produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in Kyton from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. Really? Anyway.
Eh.
They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. Sure, it's illegal, but it's not exactly anything extraordinary in business. Besides, Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skis and blades are still lying around.
They were just props. Why return them? Maybe you could make a sword out of one. No, wait, forget it. It would take too long.
Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
I think that's about it for now.
Jamais vu, the realization. Jamais vu, the opposite of déjà vu. Not already seen, but never seen. Everything that should be familiar appears strange and new, like some half-forgotten day in your childhood. Only now. That's the feeling you've been having. And for who knows how long. You should go and ask Joyce Messier about this. What world are we in? This is a fundamental question.
Alright, well, I guess I can report back. Eh? I have the key. Oh. Well. Guess we'll have to do that tomorrow.
Your flashlight slides over an old green chalkboard covered in scribbles. Some of the writing has faded with age, but you can still make out sections here and there. Photos and drawings have been pinned to the board. The photo collage depicts barren, icy landscapes wrapped in perpetual night. You see permafrost and glacial landforms, dead trees grown in under the snow. Entire oceans have been frozen from shore to shore. There are pictures of settlements on dried-up riverbeds, abandoned in a storm. Animal corpses in the dark, carcasses and bones. You see primitive oil rigs built into glaciers, boreal dvorg, yurts under the snow, great mammoth-like beasts of burden. Albeit dark and cold, this vision also feels cozy in its own way, like eggnog or morphine, a much-needed respite from our own world. A pinned postcard reads, "The heat death scenario. A desperate fight for geothermal energy engulfs the world as Wirral becomes untethered from its sun, drifting through the universe."
I have this. have this thing. Might work in this
The
computer.
dusty radio computer. The machine lights up like some prehistoric animal stirring from its slumber, revealing fluorescent play and print keys on the keyboard. It's empty like a beehive without its brood. Some cables have been left dangling. The filament you have would fit perfectly inside the compartment.
Yeah.
Like a smooth drawer, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking. A bar of fabric right above the keyboard starts producing a soft hum. The sound of static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. The static gets louder, slowly filling up the abandoned hall, until a voice speaks out, crackling and old, cutting into the air.
Good evening, Fortress Accident en rue de Saint-Ghislaine. This is East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the production schedule? Yes, I am alive. I am 74 years old and my name is Yvonne. Now please repeat. Is this the production schedule?
She repeats passwords. Programming people are all paranoid.
I work as a repeater at the East Insulindian Repeater Station. It's my job to know where you are, Fortress Accident. As for me, well, I am sitting in my cubicle, surrounded by a wall of radios. Now please tell me the reason for your call, Fortress Accident. The filament you have inserted into the reader. Yes. Is that the production schedule? Good. Please repeat the
Password. Of course it would have a password. That's why there's a human administrator involved.
No.
A hint system is not part of the protocol for repeater stations.
I am contractually obliged to protect the privacy of the filament holder, Fortress Accident. Without filing a warrant with Lintel, I cannot give you access to this filament.
I'm afraid we are not doing that, unless we want to wait for a month.
Now, can you please repeat the password? Received. I will register this login attempt.
Don't worry. Passwords have a way of turning up sooner or later.
Fortress Accident. Is there anything else I can do for you? Fortress Accident is the company on whose name the terminal you are currently using has been registered to. One moment. Fortress Accident SCA produces revolutionary interactive call-in radio games. That's what the catalog says.
That's not bad.
Any other questions? Thank you, and goodbye.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework in a Nothing happens.
So, wait. Hold on. Maybe she might know the password.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? I'm listening. Fortress X, they were an interesting bunch.
That's understandable.
They certainly took the usual. Well, they seem to believe.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started, in the end they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to... Not the wisest decision. You would have lost all your savings.
The result is 1.
Anything else?
Okay.
Good. I hope it clarified.
So she doesn't know, but maybe I could find out at some point. Okay, so I'll have to report that tomorrow. Still don't know any of this stuff. And it's getting kind of late, so I think I might call it here. Get back outside first.
This orange machine is dead still.
Alright.
It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting.
Give it more time. Maybe it'll, Wait a minute. Did I check that? Well, a couple of skill points, but what to do with them yet, so I'm gonna wait on those. And, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for today. But had some good progress, figured out some important information. Don't quite know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but should be interesting, and we've still got plenty of mysteries to explore, so we'll pick it up next time. I hope y'all have been enjoying this, and yeah, have a good evening.